To speak to the bill, the chair recognizes Representative Scott.
Mr. Speaker, colleagues, I rise today in opposition of House Bill 4945. In Lansing, we tend to gloss over things, often referring to details as getting in the weeds. Sometimes it's better to avoid the details, but sometimes it's important that we take a look at them. Because as we all know, the devil is in the details. House Bill 4945 has been promoted as just a technical fix, the correction of an omission when we changed the law for regular charter schools. Technically, that's not correct. But then again, the devil is in the details. Supporters argue that this would make it so that all school districts in the state would be able to authorize strict discipline academies. Again, technically not correct. Again, the devil is in the details. The details matter. In this instance, this is a long story, unfortunately, but it's not a good story. It's one of non-compliance, ball dropping, and lack of accountability. ACE Academy is a strict discipline academy which provides academic services to the juvenile detention centers run by Spectrum Juvenile Justice Systems. They have 2 lockdown facilities in Highland Park, 1 community program there and 1 community program in Detroit. There are well over 20 juvenile detention facilities in Michigan operated by counties or courts for local youth, or youth from other counties through reciprocity agreements. All of them are required to provide educational services, and they all do. There are many models out there, including agreements with local school districts, ISDs, and strict discipline academies, which are a kind of a charter school. The issue here is not about whether strict discipline academies are good or bad, nor is it whether these kids deserve a second chance at life, because they do, plain and simple. It's why we have rehabilitative programs run by the facilities. It's not the education, it's the facility program. The education is provided as an additional part of the program to ensure that when a minor gets out of the facility that they aren't further behind. This is an important distinction to remember. In this case, we have failures by several parties over time to do the right thing. ACE Academy has been the SDA for Spectrum Juvenile Justice Service System since 2007, when they were initially authorized by Central Michigan University. Things were going okay until beginning in 2018. ACE Academy began having significant compliance issues, which Central brought to their attention. Those compliance issues were informally identified and not addressed, eventually led to an April 1st, 2019 letter finding significant violations of federal and state regulations, calling for the board of the SDA to approve a plan of corrective action to be submitted to CMU by April 2019. On February 28, 2020, CMU issued a letter to ACE which stated, each of our 4 visits between September 2018 and June 2019 identified significant findings with little or no improvement noted by the subsequent visits. This letter stated, and I quote, the Academy's continued inability to take immediate action and appropriate corrective action has resulted in its formal notice of non-compliance and required ACE to provide documentation by April 30th, 2020, demonstrating they had corrected and fully remediated the findings listed in the special education non-compliance document, which was provided with required actions. On June 8th, 2020, CMU issued a letter indicating the April 30th, 2020 deadline was not complied with, but recognized ACE had begun to address issues and established a new July 3rd, 2020 deadline for submission of all evidence of compliance, accepting evidence of delivery of compensatory services, which received a new deadline on August 31st, 2020. In this time period, CMU attempted to perform a part of their oversight responsibilities. education program review, which required sites visit. The board of ACE pushed back on the questioning of CMU's authority to do so. On September 17, 2020, CMU sent a letter to ACE Academy about this issue, raising concerns about why ACE stated they were delivering instruction fully remote, when they had filed an extension COVID-19 learning plan which said they were providing in-person education, which they filed 2 days before. On November 24, 2020, CMU issued a notice of intent to revoke ACE's charter. This is 2.5 years after the issues began. Say what you will, CMU gave ACE all of the second chances they could have. The straw broke the camel's back for CMU seems to be that when they received it, a complaint and decision made by the MDE on another special education issue, which ACE didn't even tell anybody about it, and it was part of their contract to do so. It is true that CMU did walk back their notice of intent to revoke, but it's also true that CMU instead determined it would not renew the charter. They gave notice of this on February 1st, 2021. In that notice, CMU wrote down, despite the efforts of all involved, CMU has concluded that it would be in the best interest of the students and the public if the university does not enter into a new contract with ACE to operate a strict discipline academy. This means the contract issued by the university to the academy will end when the academy's contract expires on June 30th, 2020. While not reauthorizing a contract is never an easy decision, the university is committed to holding the schools it authorizes accountable and cannot justify reauthorizing ACE Academy. The last letter from CMU was dated March 26, 2021. Referred to their February 16th letter, pointing out that it included a plan of correction and a plan of transition, the latter of which requires the Academy Board to either secure authorization from another entity with the authority to enter into a contract or pursue, wind up, and dissolution of the Academy. It also stated, due to the existing contract expiration date and the university's intent to enter into a contract with the Academy's board beyond that date, the center does not have the authority to object to another authorizer entering into a contract after June 30th, 2021. This is hardly a ringing endorsement for them to continue. And I'm going to apologize for this being long, but bear with me because this is really important, and it's really important to me and the constituents in my district. And as I said before, the devil is in the details. The question on this bill has been framed as, what about the kids? The kids that have been sent to this facility for the facility program would stay in the facility. The facility has a responsibility to provide education for them. So when we ask the question, what about the kids, we should really be asking why nobody did anything for those kids before now. When ACE received this notice of intent to revoke, where was Spectrum? Who should have begun planning for a new educational program back in November 2020? When ACE received their notice of renewal with information on how to wind up, why did they not even begin to develop the plan then? When ACE went to several other authorities or authorizers and were told no, even ones who would authorize other SDAs, why did they not begin figuring out how to wind it up then? CMU did their job. They held a charter school accountable, but no one else did. ACE and Spectrum put the residents of these juvenile facilities in jeopardy through their inaction, or worse, their specific actions to do nothing. And now, here we are. ACE and Spectrum have hurt their charges in their care through their bad behavior. ACE Academy and Spectrum Juvenile Justice Systems are asking us here in the legislature to change the law so that they can avoid accountability for their bad behavior. Spectrum Juvenile Services and ACE We don't reward bad behavior here in the legislature. We shouldn't. I don't believe that we should. I'm strongly urging my colleagues to join me in voting no on House Bill 4945. And I appreciate you allowing me to take the time because Madam Assistant Speaker Hornberger would not allow me to speak in committee.
Member, please keep your comments tailored to the merits of the bill. I'm going to attempt to provide some latitude on this conversation, but you're out of line. Are you finished speaking? The chair recognizes Representative Scott.
I am done. Thank you.